Volcanion feels better than people give it credit for. It's currently the only fire-water type, and it's actually got some badass stats to help it out as well, with super strong special attack and even considerable bulk. Today we're working with an extra bulky fella when we slap on an assault vest, which gives us a 50% boost to special defense at the cost of having to be an all-out attacker. Which feels fine because it turns out Volcanion doesn't actually get access to all that many stat boosting setups anyways, but it does have some pretty legit attacking options, especially in its signature move Steam Eruption, which is a 110 power water move with a 30% chance to burn, basically a stronger Scald. It's got big damage and stab flamethrower, along with sludge bomb for coverage, and we can even use Terra Ground boosted earth power for some extra coverage, with the added benefit of taking advantage of its water absorbability to not worry about water moves, which people seem to forget about. Volcanion may have some below average speed, but in my opinion it can give some above average ass whoopings. Look, I don't know what it is about these random mythical guys that always makes me forget that they exist, but Volcanion is a pretty sick one, and honestly, water-fire is just a cool combo. So today we're going to be showing some love to everybody's favorite volcanic steamy boy, and if that sounds like a good time to you, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm on my way to 400k, I'd love to have you as part of the journey, and with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. Alright, so my opponent is going to go ahead and lead off with the Donphan, and the Don is it's a bit of a problem. Look, I've got myself a Clodsire who, doesn't match up well into this, and I figure they're probably just going to set up their own Stealth Rock. I figure, you know what, it can rapid spin, but I'm going to set up the rocks of my own, kind of force them to have to spin them away if that's what they want to do. Turns out they're actually just going to go right for the knockoff turn one, and gets rid of my Black Sludge before your boy even gets to take a bite. So while I do get my rocks up, I realize that now, a Clodsire, look, I'm in danger. I also don't really have much that wants to switch into an Earthquake, as the team I'm kind of working with doesn't need to take unnecessary chips. So I decide to stay in, maybe thinking I can get off a Toxic if they want to go for their own rocks. Instead, I get Earthquaked, and yeah, the Clod does nothing. I do go down, and while that is unfortunate, it does at least allow me a position here to try to make a play. Now here's what I'm thinking a couple turns ahead, and sometimes that's my downfall. So look, I bring in the Croissant. I bring in Indeedee because I want to try to potentially enable something like the Reuniclus, but also, as I feel like they're probably fearing an expanding force to just knock them down to their sturdy, I expect maybe a switch into Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl comes in for free on the Psychic move, so instead I click Dazzling Gleam. They actually, in fact, stay in, and the Dazzling Gleam doesn't do much, and then they rapid spin away the rock. So Clodsire got absolutely hoed, and it's entirely my fault, but it is what it is. So at this point, I am going to go for the expanding force. If they want to stay in, the Don's going to have a bad time, but instead they actually swap right into the Magnezone, so young UFO over here with his little pinhead comes in. It doesn't take much from an expanding force, and while I know I could potentially take an attack, I decide to go straight for the Healing Wish. I figure, you know what, we're going full kamikaze on that ass, and I'm going to try to see if I can get something going here. What that does is, at least allows me now a free switch into whatever I want. They Thunderbolt the air, that is fine. And I decide, Reuniclus should probably come in, try to take advantage of that Psychic terrain. And one thing that works well for this little Jellybean Fetus is when I can come in on a special attacker. That's just because I basically can get up free Calm Minds, or at least be able to take them really easily. And as they Volt Switch, it's kind of bad news, because in comes Grimmsnarl. I was really hoping that I would be able to at least get like a couple Calm Minds up to be able to, then bop this with my only option being something like a Focus Blast. I'm finding myself in matchups here that are just not favorable. And as I do get a Calm Mind up, the worst thing that can happen is Grimmsnarl goes for something like a Sucker Punch, so I'm kind of hoping maybe that's what they have. Turns out they're actually going to go for the Spirit Break, which is also bad because that drops my special attack after I boosted it, and as I go for another Calm Mind, it is at least going to bring me back to +1, but I'm chilling at +2 special defense. Bad thing is Spirit Break hits on the physical side, and I at least feel like I should be able to take one more of them, so they go for another Spirit Break, and it actually just ends up killing me. So Reuniclus goes down, and I'm down. Look, I'm down tremendous. I'm absolutely in the trenches at this point, and I've got half of my team left. And I've got to see what my win condition might possibly be, and we're going to need to make some plays happen. So I decide finally I might as well bring in the spicy watery donut, because I should be able to take attacks from this thing no problem. I also have the super effective hit with a Sludge Bomb, which is great. It does do over half, and I get the poison, which always feels good. Now, this thing's going to actually just end up going for another Spirit Break. The first Grimmsnarl to not click screens against me, and while the Spirit Break doesn't do anything, it does drop my special attack, of course, which just always becomes annoying. And while I'm at -1 special, I still feel like I obviously win this matchup. You know, I can take attacks on this thing all day, and I might as well try to get rid of this Grim before it's too annoying. So at this point, I'm going to go for the Steam Eruption. I realize it does similar damage, and it's neither going to be able to be a kill there with a -1 special. So the Steam Eruption comes through. They end up busting out the Magnezone, and as it comes in, it does not get burnt, which is unfortunate. However, I do have a little Volcanion plan up my sleeve here. I'm going to end up going for the Ground Terra, because surely they want to hit me with some super effective electric, and I'm not going to let that happen on my watch with my sick-ass Earth on my head. So we pull out the Ground Terra, which is always great. A Ground Volcanion is actually pretty damn sweet for a few reasons, but you'll see. So we are now Ground type. They are going to be actually able to go for a Terra of their own. Important to note, they actually Terra second. Tells me I am faster, which is always fun to know. But with them going for their own Terra, it's kind of bad, because as they go Terra Water, now my super effective, you know, stab boosted Earth power is not going to get the satisfying kill that we wanted. However, I go first. I'm able to get off the nice little boosted Earth power. And the bad thing is, well, my special attack is hoed at this point. Those Spirit Breaks are going to do its job and makes it so I don't do too much damage without the super effective hit. But at least they do Thunderbolt, which is great. It was a free turn anyway. Now, I am going to go for another Earth Power, because I'm like, surely this thing can't really hit me with much. And as it does end up living, unfortunately, I'm fighting an uphill battle out here, but they end up going for the Terra Blast. They see me as a ground type, but they always forget about the Water Absorb, baby. We soak it up, which is sick as hell. And that's another reason why, you know, we love the Terra Ground on this thing. So at least now I can finish it off. I can outspeed, finish it with another Earth Power, slow and steady. That's going to take care of the Magnezone, which does give me, you know, a decent bit of momentum here, knowing that at least I've taken care of their Terra. Magnezone out of the way, and Volcanion's, you know, chilling here at full health. And honestly, being Ground Terra isn't actually horrible in this situation. So they do go back into the Grimmsnarl. Buddy's waist is snatched, and this thing is ready to do something. At least Spirit Breaks now are going to be, you know, neutral hits. And as I go for the Steam Eruption, hoping maybe it kills, it actually does not. Because of course it doesn't. Now they can go for another Spirit Break. Doesn't do much, but it does again drop my special attack. And I can hardly steamer up my way out of a wet damn paper bag at this point. But it's fine, because after some leftover recovery, I'm thinking maybe the Toxic kills it. It does not. It leaves it with 1, because of course it does. Which sucks. But at this point, I have 2 options. Either I stay in and tank another hit, or I can swap. The bad thing about a swap would be that both of my remaining Mons are special attackers. Now, they actually end up going for the Sucker Punch, which is surprising. Doesn't do as much, but allows me to then finish it off with another little Steamy. And that's going to take care of the Grimmsnarl. So, you know, Volcanion's chilling at half health. Honestly, not horrible. And as they go into Vileplume, I look great here. Obviously, or at least being able to get big damage with a Flamethrower if I didn't have my damn special attack sliced in half. So with that in mind, I decide to swap here. And it seems like as good of a position as any to bring in the Frostmoth. Now, Frostmoth comes in because if they don't Sleep Powder, I can freely set up a Quiver Dance here and hope that I can potentially, you know, get the Moth to give us a little late game sweep action. So they probably realize that's going to be the plan. Now they do end up swapping out the Vileplume, and they can end up bringing in the Infernape. I was really hoping this thing wasn't going to come in immediately, because I do need 2 Quiver Dances, of course, to knock this thing out. My coverage in this match just feels horrible. All my matchups, like I don't have anything to hit this on the neutral side other than just a normal ass Terra Blast. So I decide I am definitely going to die to a fire move immediately, and my best bet is just to go for the natural Terra Blast. No Terra, just sometimes you got to raw dog it. And you know, that does do a nice little chunk. And as they hit me with a Flare Blitz, I'm thinking that actually could be perfect. A Flare Blitz might actually knock itself out with recoil, and I gotta say, that would be a super great situation. Problem is, it does in fact live it with like 20 HP. So I now have 2 Mons left, both of them being some Fire Boys, and I decide, you know, Blaziken's probably my best bet here, knowing that I can at least take an attack from the thing. I can also end up going for the Roar. This is, of course, Throat Spray, Roar, Blaziken, because you know how we work out here. They end up going for the knockoff, though, which is incredibly annoying, because as I do get the Roar off, that means that then the Throat Spray is not going to activate, and I'm like, God damn it, how can I catch a break out here? While it does force out the Infernape, it ends up bringing in Salamence. So the thing about the Salamence is, you know, it doesn't intimidate me, so it's going to be Moxie, but also, you know, I'm faster, and I have a decent shot to at least hit it with a Fire Blast and potentially grab a burn. I know I should be able to outspeed here. I'm kind of back against the wall at this point, but as I end up going for that Fire Blast, they actually outspeed. They're going to be Choice Scarf Salamence, because of course, it outspeeds Blaziken with a speed boost, and I get my ass dual Wing Beat to the Shadow Realm. So At this point now, they've got 3 mons left. It's going to be the Salamence, they have the Infernape, and then there's that pesky Donphan back there. So I have myself a Volcanic Donut and a Dream. So here's the thing. I can bring in the Volcanion, who... Remember that Healing Wish from like 20 turns ago? It is finally going to activate, because as I send in a mon that already has damage on it, we do get to soak it up, and now we're at full health. So the thing is, there's a couple situations where I can actually win this game, and that is going to be through Steam Eruption giving me a burn. So first of all, they go for the dual Wing Beat. Now mind you, this thing is at +1 attack. Dual Wing Beat does do over half, and I know that I'm not going to be able to knock it out with a Steam Eruption, sadly, but as I do get it off, it does do over half with a critical hit. And I actually end up getting the burn, which is honestly insane luck. So I get the burn, which is going to half this thing's attack, and it's actually in range to where another one should be able to kill it. But I also know that I can take a dual Wing Beat, and I want to end up just going for the Sludge Bomb here, as it's actually going to be my best damage. So they go for their next dual Wing Beat. I do take it thanks to the burn, which is insane. And as I fire off the Sludge Bomb, that's going to take care of the Fat Dragon. Down goes the Salamence. And now hold on a second. I can outspeed Donphan and knock it out with a Steam Eruption, but Infernape is going to be their best bet to be able to come in, be faster, and hit me with anything. So the Ape comes in, and while they don't take Stealth Rock Chip, they are able to then go for the knockoff, and that is going to kill the Volcanion. So listen, not being able to have my Stealth Rock up cost me the match there, because if Stealth Rock were up, you know, Infernape comes in, dies on switching, and then we finish off a Donphan. It's an entirely different game. So that is going to be the end of the match, and honestly, that was a really close one. I did not think I was going to be able to at least pull it back to being that close. Some obvious misplays on my end, but it's a fun time to showcase that it doesn't always go my way, and I do be making shit plays out here. But still a really fun game, and you know, that's the way it goes a lot of the time. Now with that, that's going to bring us into our next match, because the fun is not over, and we still got some shenanigans to get up to. And if you stuck around this far into the video, I do ask that you hit that like button. It really does help out the channel with the algorithm and stuff. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the next game. So this time, my opponent's going to lead off with the Rabombi. And I, of course, have myself one Logapoo. And the good thing is, look, I know Rabombi, I know your game plan, you little bee bastard. This thing's going to set up Sticky Web and be annoying. So I decide I'm just going to go ahead and set up my Stealth Rock. Instead, they Stun Spore. For whatever reason, they said, fuck this Clodsire in particular, I want you paralyzed. And that's... honestly just feels disrespectful to the Clod. I mean, it's like, why do you need me paralyzed? I am slow already, and that's mean. So it is fun at least being able to paralyze ground types, you know, I see that. So as I set up my Stealth Rock, I figured there's literally no reason why I would switch out here. I know they're going to Sticky Web. I can hit him with a big ol' stab Poison Jab. And while it doesn't quite knock it out, it does do enough to be an easy 2-hit KO. And then I'm thinking, surely this little bee is not going to stay in here. So what I'm going to do is actually go for the Toxic, expecting to switch into something like the Great Tusk. Instead, they Moonblast. For whatever reason, they Moonblast. They don't like this Clodsire. They want to hit it with a Moonblast, which, you know, doesn't do anything. But then as I Toxic expecting the switch, I'm kind of punished for making what seemed to me like the obvious play. Maybe they, you know, thought a couple steps ahead there and expected me to expect the switch. But regardless, the freaking bee is just causing more trouble than it's worth. And I figure, you know what? I'm going to click Toxic again. I know that this thing cannot touch me. And as they Moonblast again, I realize that they probably just want this thing dead. They want to free switch in to Clodsire. They figure once they got their Sticky Web up, this thing's kind of done what it needed to do. And, you know, it also is probably not going to be able to come back in, considering the Stealth Rock is there. So they do take another Toxic turn, which actually does not kill it, which is hilarious. This thing has now been able to get off 3 Moonblasts and honestly has put a chunk in the Clodsire, which, you know, didn't really, did not need to take that damage. But I go for the other Toxic just because there's no reason to click Poison Jab there. It is going to die finally, you know, to that Toxic chip. And that's going to take care of the bee. So I do, however, have to deal with the Sticky Web being up because I actually do not have a spinner on the squad. But I figure, you know what, we can make it happen. So with them being able to switch into whatever they want, they decide now to go into the Grimmsnarl. I'm like, why are you bringing a fairy? I'm going to take it. I'm just going to go for the Poison Jab then if that's what you want to do. They're actually going to go for the Taunt, and while the Taunt comes through, makes it so I cannot go for Toxics, I actually get paralyzed, of course, on the turn that I was going to be able to Poison Jab the guy, and, you know, I'm robbed of that satisfying Poison Jab, which sucks, but we move. So once again, I'm in a spot where Clodsire, I kind of imagine this thing wants to set up screens on me, but instead they're going to go for the Parting Shot. They probably realize that, yeah, the Poison Jab is not going to be fun for that thing to be on the receiving end of, so they are going to go for that Parting Shot. and now they can bring in the Great Tusk. They probably wanted to wait until I couldn't Toxic it, so at least now, you know, being taunted, I cannot go for the Toxic. And as this thing comes in, I kind of know that it probably is going to Rapid Spin here. If it does not Rapid Spin, I will be in a great spot with Indeedee, and I'm kind of in a spot once again where this team, I don't match up well against this freaking Tusk. The average Tusk over here is kind of bad for me. So look, as I bring in the Indeedee, I obviously get caught up in some Sticky Web, which hurts. But if they don't go for big damage here, I'm thinking maybe if they don't have the coverage, I should be still in a good spot. Now they do hit me with the Rapid Spin, which is gonna, you know, get rid of my rocks that I worked hard for. It does do some considerable chip to me as well. But once again, I really just don't have anything that swaps into this or really matches up well. So I go for the Dazzling Gleam. They are gonna outspeed, of course. And the knockoff, which they do have, does take care of Indeedee. So that feels bad. Gets rid of my Terrain Extender. But we do have the Psychic Terrain up for at least 8 turns, which feels good because they've got some stuff in the back with priority that I'm really hoping I can, you know, get some upper hand again. So I decided to go into the Frostmoth here. That's because I know that the Moth is kind of the best chance I have to be able to take an attack easily. And since I wasn't affected by the Sticky Web due to my heavy duty boots, I can actually now go for that Quiver Dance. So as I set up the Quiver Dance, it's going to bring me up to +1 speed, while the fake ass Donphan is also at +1 speed. I am faster because, you know, I'm a lamp. So I can now hit him with the Giga Drain, which is sick because, you know, at +1, that's a full one-hit KO. Not only that, but also I get to drain that health and bring myself back up to full. So now, look, the Moth is actually in a crazy position here. I'm set up, and Frostmoth is pretty scary once you click that Quiver Dance. So they're going to end up bringing in the low kicks, and that is amazing for me because I feel like they forget about the Psychic Terrain effect. They try to go for that first impression. It is in fact blocked by that terrain, which is sick as hell. Allows me to fire off an Ice Beam, and we get to capitalize on a huge mistake there, which is definitely needed because this guy's team is very scary, and yeah, that's a little momentum swing for you boys. So they now bring in the Rillaboom. Does, of course, get rid of my Psychic Terrain in place of their Grassy Surge, which is annoying because, well, probably more annoying for them. They're probably like, I should have done that before, but they didn't. So now I can go for an Ice Beam, and I'm thinking, you know what, this is fine. Frostmoth is about to go on a tear, and then boom, this is a Frostmoth video. False alarm because, you know, they have the Terra. They do go for the Fire Terra. I really thought that there was a Terra in the back pocket here, but it's like, you hate to make the over prediction. It just feels way worse. So I do just click the Ice Beam as the safe play. As they go Terra Fire, it now no longer has the ability to kill it. But as they go for the knockoff, the good thing is Frostmoth they don't have great coverage against me. So I'm able to take it in, you know, pretty decently. And after the little heal from the Surge, I'm feeling pretty healthy. We're almost at half health here, and then I'm thinking here, hold on. Let me cook for a second. I am going to go for the Terra Ground and Terra Blast. It's the one thing I have that can kill this thing. And I figure the only way this is a bad play is if for whatever reason they go for a Grassy Glide, which there's no real reason to against the bug Frostmoth. So I put the Earth on my head, and guess what? They click the Grassy Glide, which is like, what? I thought for sure they were just going to go for, you know, another knockoff to kill me. That does take care of the Moth, and I now have wasted my Terra, and I'm just out here making nonsensical plays. I mean, it felt like there was no reason for them to click the glide there, but they do, and now we must claw our way back, but I'm still confident. So I now decide that my best kind of swap in here is going to be the Volcanion. That's because, you know, I should be able to take an attack from the thing, and then a super effective Steam Eruption just kills it. So they do have the high horsepower, because of course they do, but he's got horseshoes on his monkey feet, and that is going to do a big old chunk to the Volcano, but I at least can finish it off with a Steam Eruption, which is great. So 1 kill for the Volcano, and that is going to take their Terra down with it. So now we've got ourselves a pretty even playing field at this point in the game, and it could be anybody's match here. So the good thing is with the Grassy Terrain up, we do actually get some more heals, and I do need the heals on the Volcanion, because Volcanion, whatever you want to call him, this thing needs some damn health. And as they go Grimmsnarl, bad thing is Grimmsnarl is just set up screens. That's just what these assholes do, and they really just dampen my ability to do damage. So while they do get a light screen up, I do get some pretty decent damage, at least around half with a Sludge Bomb. And then I realize the Steam Eruptions do pretty similar damage, and I'd like to get a burn anyway, so they're just going to go for the Reflect. Makes sense, they want to just get their dual screens to try to help them in the last kind of few turns of the game. Steam Eruption does in fact get the burn, and it's a 2-hit KO here, which is sweet. So at this point, here's the situation. If this Grimmsnarl hasn't been going for damage, it probably only has Fairy coverage that they know isn't going to do enough here. And their final mon in the back being Rhyperior, Volcanion should be able to pull this one through for us. So at the health I'm at, I'm not necessarily worried about taking a Spirit Break. Worst case scenario would be, you know, Dark Stab, but they actually go for the taunt. That tells me for sure that thing has nothing to hit me with, and a Steam Eruption is going to be able to take care of the Grimmsnarl. So with that in mind, now their final mon being Rhyperior, we are faster than this thing, and we have a 4-time super effective Stab Steam Eruption. The bad thing going for us is that there's Light Screen up. Now they do outspeed. They're able to go for a Rock Polish. They know that they need speed to be able to kind of sweep the rest of the match. While they do polish up, I hit him with the Steam Eruption, and the Light Screen is not going to be enough for you. It is going to be able to take care of the Rhyperior, which is extremely clutch, and the freaking Volcano boy is able to clean the match up for us. So that was a pretty interesting endgame. Both of these matches I had some pretty shit plays in general, but I mean, I'm just out here messing around and having some fun with it. So once again, thank you guys very much for the support on these videos. I really hope you did enjoy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.